CSS3 features a new multi-column layout module that allows you to break up text and images on your web page. This is really useful for breaking up long, boring lines of text and transforming them into a more dynamic layout. In other videos, we've looked at how to create multi-column layouts using floated elements and CSS frameworks like Blueprint that feature grid systems. Creating multi-column layouts using divs and other block-level elements, though, really isn't a very good solution for text. The multi-column layout module in CSS3 tries to improve upon this. So here we have a basic HTML page, and we have one short paragraph and one longer paragraph, and we have an H2 in between. Switching over to our text editor, here's what the HTML looks like, and it's a pretty basic page. Again, we have paragraph, our H2, and another paragraph. So to start out, we have a class called columns on this div, which is actually wrapping our paragraph, H2, and our second paragraph. So we'll go ahead and switch over to our CSS. And as usual, we have some basic boilerplate stuff here to style the body and wrapper div. And the first property we're going to take a look at is called column count. So we'll select our div, columns, and we're going to use the property WebKit column count, and we'll give it a value of 4. It can accept any integer value. So we'll go back to the browser, and when we refresh, just like that, we already have a multi-column layout. Pretty simple. So we'll switch back and we'll try a couple of different values for this. We can set it to 3 columns, and we can set it to, say, 2 columns. And it produces that number of columns, just like you'd expect. So we'll go ahead and change this back to 4 for now. Now, before we move on, you'll notice that I'm using the WebKit vendor prefix. In a real-world situation, you would want to use multiple vendor prefixes, such as Moz for Mozilla, or O for Opera, and so on. That way, every browser can use this property. But for now, we're just going to use WebKit. The next property I'm going to talk about is called column width. So just like column count, we're going to use the WebKit vendor prefix, and we'll give WebKit column width a value of 10 ems. And when we switch back to the browser and refresh, you can see that we now have a different width for our columns. Just like you'd expect, column width sets the width of our columns. So we can go ahead and try out a few different values here. We'll try 5 ems, and that sets pretty narrow columns, and with a column count of, say, 8, we could go ahead and have narrow columns all the way across. But for now, we'll go ahead and just change those back. Multi-column layouts are also a lot better for accessibility reasons. It's not the worst thing in the world to break up your text into a bunch of smaller divs, as you would have to do with a grid system like the one included with Blueprint and lots of other CSS frameworks. However, in very complex layouts, it's possible to get into situations where text isn't in a semantic, natural order. Multi-column layouts help to mitigate some of those issues because all of the text in a multi-column block is in one continuous stream. That covers the basics of multi-column layouts, but there's still a bit more to learn. In the next video, we'll look at a few more properties.